Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of today's GK. Let's begin with previous day's practice question. Question was, which movement led by Mahatma Gandhi was a response to the Jallianwala Bagh massacre? Quit India movement, non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement or Khilafat movement? The correct answer is option B, non-cooperation movement. The non-cooperation movement was initiated by Gandhi Ji as a response to the Jallianwala Bagh massacre and other atrocities by the British. The Jallianwala Bagh massacre in 1919 was one of the most brutal acts of violence during British rule. Brigadier General Dyer ordered troops to fire on a peaceful gathering, killing hundreds. This incident deeply shocked and angered the Indian populace, marking a turning point in India's struggle for freedom. The non-cooperation movement launched in 1920 was a direct outcome of this change in perspective. It aimed to resist British rule through non-violent means, urging Indians to refrain from cooperating with British institutions. Therefore, option B is the correct answer. Now let's begin today's session. First question is, consider the following statements regarding Mahatma Gandhi. 1. He was born in Porbandar, Gujarat. 2. His autobiography is titled My Experiments with Truth. 3. He led the Dandi March in 1930 to protest against the salt tax. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 and 2 only, 1 and 3 only, 2 and 3 only, or all of the above? The correct answer is option D, all of the above. Mahatma Gandhi Ji was born on 2nd October 1869 in Porbandar, a coastal town in Gujarat. Hence, statement 1 is correct. His autobiography, My Experiments with Truth, provides an intimate look into his pursuit of truth and non-violence. Hence, statement 2 is correct. In 1930, Gandhiji initiated the Dandi March, a 240-mile walk to the Arabian Sea to make salt, symbolically breaking the British law that had taxed salt production and sales in India. Hence, statement 3 is correct. The march was a non-violent protest against the British salt monopoly and their imposition of a salt tax. This act resonated worldwide, garnering extensive media coverage and turning global opinion against British rule. Therefore, option D is the correct answer. Next question is, consider the following about Gandhi's philosophies and experiments. 1. The term Sarvodaya means the welfare of the individual. 2. Gandhiji viewed Swaraj not just as political independence but also as self-rule by individuals. 3. His concept of Ram Rajya was a theocratic state where only Hindus had a significant role. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 2 only, 1 and 3 only, 2 and 3 only, or 1 and 2 only? The correct answer is option A, 2 only. Sarvodaya is a Sanskrit term meaning universal uplift or progress of all, encompassing the welfare of society at large and not just an individual. Hence, statement 1 is not correct. For Gandhiji, Swaraj transcended political independence. It represented self-rule, self-discipline, and moral governance. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Gandhiji's concept of Swaraj was comprehensive beyond political independence. It encapsulated self-rule, self-reliance, and moral leadership. Ram Rajya in Gandhiji's vision was an ideal state where justice, equality, and the rule of law prevailed. It wasn't limited to any religion. Hence, statement 3 is not correct. Therefore, option A is the correct answer. Next question is, reflect on the following statements concerning the round table conferences. 1. Gandhiji represented the Indian National Congress at all the 3 round table conferences. 2. The Pune Pact was signed in 1930. 3. The objective of the conferences was to discuss the Simon Commission report. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, or none of the above? The correct answer is option D, none of the above. Held between 1930 and 1932, these were a series of peace conferences organized by the British government to discuss constitutional reforms in India. Gandhiji represented the INC only at the second round table conference. Hence, statement 1 is not correct. The Pune Pact was signed between Gandhiji and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar in 1932, ensuring reserved seats for the depressed classes in the provincial legislatures within the general electorate. Hence, statement 2 is not correct. While the Simon Commission's report was a significant subject of discussion, the conferences aimed to deliberate on the constitutional future of India. Hence, statement 3 is not correct. The conferences were also the British government's attempt to pacify growing nationalist sentiments in India by giving an illusion of inclusion in the decision-making process. Therefore, option D is the correct answer. Next question is, evaluate the following statements regarding Gandhiji's influence internationally. 1. Martin Luther King Jr. was influenced by Gandhiji's philosophy of non-violence. 2. Nelson Mandela criticized Gandhiji for not doing enough against apartheid in South Africa. 3. The concept of non-violent resistance had a significant influence on the civil rights movement in the USA. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 and 3 only, 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, or all of the above? The correct answer is option A, 1 and 3 only. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., during his fight for the rights of African Americans, drew immense inspiration from Gandhiji's non-violent approach. Hence, statement 1 is correct. Nelson Mandela considered Gandhiji as a source of inspiration and never criticized him for his role in South Africa. Hence, statement 2 is not correct. The civil rights movement, particularly under Dr. King's leadership, implemented non-violent resistance as a primary tool, drawing parallels to Gandhiji's movements in India. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Gandhi's legacy of non-violence and civil disobedience has left an indelible mark on global resistance movements, making him a global icon. Therefore, option A is the correct answer. Next question is, consider the following statements about the Swadeshi movement. 1. It began as a response to the partition of Bengal in 1905. 2. Gandhiji was the initiator of the Swadeshi movement. 3. Boycott of British goods was a significant part of this movement. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 and 3 only, 2 only, 1 and 2 only, or 1 only? The correct answer is option A, 1 and 3 only. The Swadeshi movement was indeed a response to the partition of Bengal, which was seen as an attempt to weaken the nationalist movement by the British. Hence, statement 1 is correct. Leaders like Lokmanya Tilak and Bipin Chandra Pal were among the early proponents of the Swadeshi movement, while Gandhiji fully embraced its ideas later on. Hence, statement 2 is not correct. Boycotting British goods and promoting Indian-made products became one of the hallmarks of the movement, showcasing India's resistance to British economic control. Hence, statement 3 is correct. The Swadeshi movement wasn't just economic, it sparked a cultural revolution, rekindling pride in Indian traditions, arts, and literature. Therefore, option A is the correct answer. Next question is, the term Satyagraha coined by Gandhi signifies absolute truth, non-cooperation, truth force or soul force, or passive resistance. The correct answer is option C, truth force or soul force. Satyagraha, derived from Sanskrit, means holding on to truth. The philosophy of Satyagraha revolves around non-violent resistance and civil disobedience. Gandhiji first applied the principles of Satyagraha in South Africa in response to the oppressive legislation against Indians. Over time, it evolved into a major tool in India's struggle for freedom. Unlike passive resistance, Satyagraha actively seeks change but does so without resorting to violence. Therefore, option C is the correct answer. Next question is, consider the following statements regarding Gandhiji's early life. 1. He went to England to pursue his higher studies in law. 2. He worked as a barrister in Mumbai before moving to South Africa. 3. His initial civil rights activities were focused on the Indian diaspora in South Africa. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 and 3 only, 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, or all of the above? The correct answer is option A, 1 and 3 only. Gandhiji travelled to England in 1888 to study law and became a barrister. Although he attempted to establish a law practice in Bombay, now Mumbai, he was unsuccessful. It was only in South Africa that he truly began to practice law. In South Africa, Gandhiji's initial activities were primarily focused on the civil rights of the Indian diaspora, particularly against oppressive legislation and widespread discrimination. Therefore, option A is the correct answer. Next question is, think about the following events in Gandhiji's life. 1. Champaran Satyagraha. 2. Foundation of Natal Indian Congress. 3. Fast at Yerwada jail against separate electorates. Arrange the above events in chronological order: 2-1-3, 1-2-3, 3-2-1, or 2-3-1. The correct answer is option A, 2, 1 and 3. Gandhiji co-founded the Natal Indian Congress in 1894 in South Africa, aiming to fight discrimination against Indian traders in Natal. Champaran Satyagraha in 1917 was Gandhiji's first major public movement in India. He went to Bihar's Champaran district to support peasants against forced indigo cultivation. Gandhiji's fast at Yerwada jail in Pune occurred in 1932 as a protest against the British decision for separate electorates for the depressed classes. Therefore, option A is the correct answer. Next question is, consider the following statements. 1. Hind Swaraj written by Gandhi critiques modern civilization. 2. The book was originally written in Gujarati. 3. In Hind Swaraj, Gandhi expresses his support for machines and large-scale industrialization. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, or all of the above? The correct answer is option A, 1 and 2. Hind Swaraj, published in 1909, is a critique by Gandhiji on modern civilization, Western dominance, and the need for India to return to its roots. Hence, statement 1 is correct. The book was originally written in Gujarati while Gandhiji was travelling from London to South Africa on a ship. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Contrary to supporting large-scale industrialization, Gandhiji in Hind Swaraj promotes village industries and self-reliance, emphasizing the harms of mechanization and its impact on human values. Hence, statement 3 is not correct. Therefore, option A is the correct answer. Last question is, Gandhi's philosophy of Nayi Taaleem emphasizes religious education, craft-centered learning, Sanskrit-based learning, or agriculture-based learning. The correct answer is option B, craft-centered learning. Nayi Taaleem, meaning new education, was Gandhiji's philosophy of education. It emphasized holistic development, integrating intellectual, moral, and spiritual growth. Craft-centered learning was at its core. Gandhiji believed that learning a useful craft and making it an integral part of the education process would make education self-supporting. He envisaged this system as breaking down barriers between manual and intellectual work. Therefore, option B is the correct answer. Now it's time for the practice question. Which of the following South African laws prompted Mahatma Gandhi to start his first Satyagraha? Transvaal Immigration Act, Natal Assembly Bill, Calcutta Quadroon Act, or Black Act? Send the answer of this question in the comment section. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for watching.